Rainer Maria Rilke was an Austrian bohemian poet and novelist who lived between the years of 1875 and 1926. Unfortunately, he ultimately succumbed to health troubles that plagued him throughout his life. Rilke's work isn't exactly religious in nature, but his highly lyrical prose and poetry certainly parallels religious efforts in its attempt to explore the more transcendental elements of life. Thus, Rilke's concerns are essentially spiritual, which is probably no doubt why his work so profoundly resonates with my own deepest sentiments. Now, I've been working with a mantra the last few weeks that was inspired by something he wrote in one of his passages in Letters to a Young Poet. The simple, though remarkably powerful mantra, live everything. The words live everything have been popping up a lot in my head, and along with it is this palpable feeling of like psychic reorientation, or in other words, this instantaneous recalibration of my attitude and perspective, a not so subtle shift in my perception which changes how I see and interface with the world. It's really helped me to deepen into the collective stream of passing moments that I'll never get back, and to just pay full attention to the myriad array of mental and physical phenomenon that are cast upon my consciousness, the effect of which has been an increasing sense of enrichment in my day-to-day life, and an overall density and depth to the quality of my life. Given that it is having such a substantial influence on the quality of my life, I wanted to share it with you all and to explore its meaning a little more deeply, in the hopes that it might possibly avail you and that you might find it interesting, enriching, or elucidating. Now, before I share the passage that I read, I want to share a journal entry that I wrote that night because I think it relays why this mantra, live everything, has hit me so heavily. Live everything. These two words juxtaposed into a simple phrase of incalculable consequence. This is a mantra that you can usefully carry with you until your final sun sets. What a glorious moment when the words of a poet snap into reality, a pattern you vaguely perceived as distinct form hidden within the background of all things. Live everything is what I've naturally grown into, and it's what keeps me in love with the human experience. Not too far off in the not so distant past, when extreme existential angst set in due to my youthful ignorance, I attempted to answer the problems of my life by the systematic, analytical approach of an educated mathematician. I, formerly educated in the area of theoretical mathematics, took to life's problems with the same mathematical approach. I formulated the problems into precise statements that I unpacked, inferred, and extrapolated to some analytic solution. I constructed entire theories of my own psychology, entire theories of my own metaphysics, and entire theories on how my psychology interplayed with my metaphysics, all to solve the great problems of life that we all face, namely those of direction, meaning, and purpose. All of this puzzling simply trapped me behind a model of the world that was terribly fit to the actual world. After falling further and further into haunting despair while moving in the direction of my model's prediction for prosperity, finally, I smashed it all to dust. I threw up my arms in perplexed frustration and started to move humbly through life by the means of simple living. I started to consult my sense of felt intuition at every turn. Ought I turn left or right at this juncture? So I looked to my heart as opposed to the formulaic answers I had logically derived. The answers which came from that place of deep internal knowing as to what I listened and how I lived. Soon enough thereafter, I could see the crest of a dawning sun peek up over the distant horizon, which had for so long blended earth with night into one continuous fabric of utter blackness. The sun came to kiss my skin and to escort me through fresh spring gardens. So with that in mind, I now want to present the first set of Rilke's wisdom. Be patient towards all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves like locked rooms and like books that are now written in a very foreign tongue. Do not seek the answers which cannot be given you, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the question now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. I certainly have been tortured by my own set of existential questions, and I'm willing to bet that you too have had some problem deeply embedded within your own heart. One that haunts you as you try to enter sleep, or even awakens you violently mid-slumber. A problem of the soul that ignites an internal war, leaving you confounded, covered in dirt and dust, looking around aimlessly at empty signs for some bit of hopeful direction. And what do you do when you don't know what to do? What do you do when you don't know what to do? In the past, when I was in this sort of position, I madly calculated my way forward, using only my intellect and power of reason. But I simply drowned in the complexity of the world and just kept sinking further and further into a lightless abyss. However, Rilke advises a different strategy. He urges us to be patient with all that is unsolved in our hearts, and to live the questions now. And to live the questions now, for me, incites a full embodiment of our troubles. Taking our problems, holding them close to our chests, and feeling them with our whole bodies. What exactly is the physical sensation of loneliness? What energetic signature does it imprint onto our bodies? A physical weakness, tearful eyes, a quiet voice. What does it feel like in our bodies to feel empty or angry, bored or anxious? Perhaps through this visceral listening, we can learn to answer our anxieties with a hot bath, or a candlelit room filled with calming music, or a grounding yoga sequence. Perhaps day after day, through this responsive embodied action in this dialogic manner with the troubled heart, we can then live along some distant day into the answer. Live everything. Love all that is unsolved in your heart, since you don't know what work these conditions are doing inside of you. Do not seek the answers which could not be given you, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything.